Atchison, Kansas. A quiet, historic town tucked along the Missouri River, known for its charming Victorian homes, tree-lined streets, and small-town warmth. It's the kind of place where everyone knows your name, where the rhythm of life moves gently, and the past lingers in the whispers of the wind. But there's one house here that no realtor dares to promote, and no resident can seem to forget. A simple, white, two-story home at 508 North 2nd Street. To most, it looks harmless, even welcoming. The kind of place you might pass on a stroll, without a second thought. Yet behind its walls, something waits. Something old. Something hungry. They call it the Sallie House. And to this day, it's been branded America's most violent haunting. But be warned, once you hear what happened inside, you might never walk past an ordinary house the same way again. It all began in the early 1900s. The house was once home to a respected physician, a man who was trusted by families throughout the town. He ran his practice out of a small office on the first floor, treating patients of all ages, always willing to help, always there when needed. He was the kind of doctor who made house calls, who never turned anyone away, no matter how dire the situation. He was a man who brought comfort to many, never questioning his ability to heal. But one night, a young mother rushed to his door, her child in her arms, burning with fever, screaming in pain. The little girl's name was Sallie, and she was just 6 years old. Her eyes were glassy with fever, and she was writhing in agony as her mother sobbed, begging for help. The doctor examined Sallie and suspected appendicitis. Without hesitation, he decided to perform surgery right there, on the examination table in his own home. But legend has it, he didn't wait long enough for the anesthesia to take effect. The girl screamed in agony, thrashing violently as the surgeon worked. Then, suddenly, she fell silent. Her body went limp. Her breath stopped. In that moment, the doctor knew what he had done. The realization hit him like a freight train. Sallie was gone. From that day on, they say the house never knew peace again. Decades passed. The house changed hands, families came and went, but the darkness inside remained. Strange things started to happen. No one could explain it. Dogs refused to enter certain rooms. Toys moved on their own, sometimes in the middle of the night, leaving parents to wonder if their children were playing pranks or if something was lurking just beyond sight. Electrical appliances flickered with no cause, their lights dimming as if the house itself was feeding off the energy. The air grew thick, heavy with the weight of something watching. But it wasn't until the 1990s that the house gained its notoriety. That's when Tony and Debra Pickman moved in. They thought they had found their dream home, a perfect place to start a family. But what they found instead was a nightmare they could never escape. At first, the haunting was subtle. Lights switched on and off by themselves. The baby's toys would be arranged in strange, impossible ways, as though someone or something had been playing while the family slept. Debra began feeling cold spots in the house, especially near the nursery. And she started hearing soft, echoing giggles that seemed to come from nowhere. But for Tony, it was different. The haunting wasn't just present, it was personal. The terror began with scratches. Deep, burning scratches appeared on Tony's chest, his back, his arms. The marks appeared right before their eyes. Sometimes, they were long, deep slashes. Other times, they were small handprints pressed into his skin, as if a small, invisible child had reached out and grabbed him. Tony would wake up gasping in the middle of the night, certain that someone was standing at the foot of their bed. The air around him would be thick with dread, and a chill would settle in his bones. Debra, too, saw things. A dark figure, the shape of a little girl, would appear in the corners of the room. She thought it was Sallie, the child spirit trapped in the house, forever lost, forever seeking. But soon, the visits grew darker. Objects began to fly across the room. Candles lit themselves, flames dancing wildly in the air. Furniture moved, chairs scraping violently against the floor as though someone was shifting them in rage. Their dog growled at empty corners of the house, its hackles raised, eyes locked on something they couldn't see. And then came the fires. One afternoon, Tony and Debra discovered that the nursery curtains had spontaneously burst into flames. There were no faulty wires. No logical explanation. Just the fire, burning with an intensity that couldn't be explained by anything in the house. They fled that night, terrified and broken, covered in wounds no doctor could explain. They left the house behind, but the memories, and the scratches, followed them. The story of the Pickman spread like wildfire. Paranormal researchers, psychics, even television crews descended on Atchison to investigate. Every group reported something different. Cold gusts of air, disembodied voices, strange mists that seemed to form from nowhere. Camera batteries drained within minutes. No one could explain it. One investigator described hearing the sound of a child crying, soft and distant. Then, a whisper in his ear that said, "I can't forgive him." Another investigator reported being shoved down the stairs by unseen hands. The EVP recordings they captured were chilling. Words like doctor, pain, and burn echoed through the static, sending shivers down the spine of anyone who heard them. Even those who stayed overnight in the house found themselves waking up to the same scratches that Tony had experienced. Their skin would be marked with deep, raw slashes, and the air around them would be thick with an unmistakable feeling of malice. The Sallie House still stands to this day. It remains one of the most infamous homes in America. The very mention of it sends chills down the spine of those who know its dark history. The house is still visited by paranormal tours, but few stay long enough to finish the entire tour. Some have heard the stories. Others have seen the marks. And all of them know. Whatever haunts 508 North 2nd Street doesn't just want attention. It wants revenge. You've now heard the story of the Sallie House, a place where the past never truly lets go. Where the screams of a child lost to time echo in the walls, and the very air is thick with a darkness that feeds on the living. Some say it's the ghost of a little girl, trapped in confusion and pain, unable to move on. Others believe something darker uses her image, her grief, to lure people in, to feed off their fear, to torment them, to claim them as its own. But one thing is certain, once you enter, you never truly leave. So tell me, would you dare to spend a night inside the Sallie House? Or will you stay far, far away from the little white home on North 2nd Street, where the past never sleeps, and neither do its demons? If this story sent a chill down your spine, give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who loves a good scare. And don't forget to subscribe to Ghostly Tales, where every story brings you closer to the shadows. Until next time, sleep well. If you can.